What's going on, guys? Teddy Baldassarre from teddybaldassarre.com. If you're new to this channel, this is where we do reviews of watches available for purchase on our website as an authorized dealer of all the brands that we carry to really assist with you in making your buying decisions. In this one, we're looking at a pretty cool watch from Rado with their Captain Cook, this one coming in a white dial. So we'll do a deep dive review of this piece at the end, look at some things to consider both in the positive and negative end, and then finally, all relevant links will be in the description down below if you are interested in purchasing. But guys, let's take a closer look at this watch. Now, first looking at a rundown of the specs, we have a case size of 37 millimeters, thickness of 11 millimeters, lug width of 19 millimeters, lug to lug of 43 millimeters, water resistance of 100 meters. Movement is an automatic ETA C07611. Crystal is a box sapphire anti-reflective coating. Crown is push-pull, and price $2,000. But if you do use promo code, you're one of the first 5 people to use this code on our site, teddybaldassarre.com, full authorized dealer of all the brands we carry, including Rado. You can get a free strap with your purchase. First 5 people to purchase this watch includes any strap from our site, either from our partners of Hadley Roma, as well as the Captain Cook line of straps that we have available for purchase as well. So definitely act fast and take advantage of that. teddybaldassarre.com, full authorized dealer, again, of all the brands we carry, full factory warranty, so you have peace of mind, the best place to buy a watch online. Now, for those that have been following my channel for a while, you know that I commonly highlight brands that I feel like don't necessarily always get the time of day or maybe the appreciation that they deserve. And when you're looking at it from an underrated Swiss watchmaking perspective, I think you can't help but think of Rado. With a solid price point between $1,000 to $3,000, a versatile range of watches and material constructions, I think Rado often find themselves delivering some of the best value propositions available to collectors out there. Now, Rado was founded first in 1917 under the brand name Schlepp & Co., and then transitioned to the Rado name in the 1950s, where they released several models, including in 1962, where they unveiled the Captain Cook, a watch named to honor the famed British explorer Captain James Cook. Now, I've reviewed a couple other Captain Cook models on the channel in the past, actually several of them, looking at the bronze options, looking at the 42mm, the 37mm option, and in this video, we're going to be looking at a new 37mm option with this beautiful white ceramic bezel, white dial. Now, this one I would classify as being a bit unisex. Rado positions this as more of a woman's watch, and I think probably would be leaning more in that direction, certainly, because I think it does have some more feminine undertones with its design. But this is a very attractive watch. I think it wears well on a variety of wrists, and I'm actually, for the sake of showing this on a woman's wrist, I'm going to actually feature my girlfriend's wrist. She loves this watch. This is probably her favorite watch on the entire store. And knowing how picky she is, I think that's really saying something. Now, first unpacking this model in terms of its wearability, we have a 37mm diameter here, nice thickness of only 11mm, and a lug to lug of 43mm. Now, this watch wears small, so it's likely to be best for somebody with a small to medium sized wrist. Both great for men and women for this reason. I think this is a nice unisex watch. Just kind of depends on your personal preference. But for its smaller size, it does have a good sense of sturdiness. It has a good presence on the wrist, even despite its size. And I think this really comes as a byproduct of its external diving bezel and its sports focused steel construction. Now, the stainless steel case is going to be coming in a predominantly polished finish throughout. And when combining with that beads of rice bracelet as well as that popping ceramic bezel, I think it really creates a nice equation in terms of the looks department. As for the case specifics, it uses a simpler set of lugs without any flourishing faceting, with a width between them at 19mm. Now, the 19mm sizing is somewhat of an odd size, but at 37mm in diameter, it does make sense why Rado opted to reduce the dimensions of the lugs to keep them more proportional to the sizing of the watch as a whole. On the right side, we do have a partially hidden push-pull crown that is hand-wound at the first position and can change the date at the second position, and then adjusting the time at the farthest out point while stopping the seconds hand in the process, featuring hacking seconds here. Now, unlike the 42mm options, which do have screw down crowns on them and usually have a more bolstered up water resistance, this one does only feature 100 meters of water resistance. Given the size, the style, and I think the end user in mind for this, I think 100 meters of water resistance is more than capable, but of course don't want to speak for everybody there because I could see some maybe wanting a little bit more in the water resistance department. Now, one of the highlights here for me is that concave bezel. It has a coin edge along the outside in steel, but will also feature a ceramic insert. With its coin edge, it's going to really assist in the rotation of that 120 click, featuring unidirectional rotation. The action is very smooth, secure, and has essentially no play and engagement, but does have quite a bit of audible feedback when you are clicking it into place. Matching the stainless steel case, the Captain Cook here is secured to the wrist via a matching beads of rice style bracelet, featuring a high polish on those central inner links. The bracelet sizing is adjusted via standard pin and collar links, but I will say this pin and collar system compared to many others is much better. As somebody who's had some post-traumatic stress with adjusting pin and collar bracelets in the past, this one is much easier to do even for yourself. On the underside, we do have a traditional fold-over clasp 2-button release. It's going to be signed with the Aboutrado logo and also is going to have a fine, thin line textured finish. The bracelet is incredibly breathable. It's going to fit to the wrist very well and is exceptionally comfortable. One point of emphasis, though, that I will mention is the lack of micro adjustment on the clasp. So sizing this one up shouldn't be an issue, but you're not going to have that on-the-fly adjustment that would be nice to see here. Yet on the flip side, you do have easy quick release tabs on the back side of the bracelet where it meets the lugs to swap in different straps. And again, definitely take advantage of that strap promo for this watch. Any strap on our site, as well as the official Captain Cook straps that we also have for sale. Just put in the promo code CCWhite, add the strap to your cart with the watch, and you should be good to go. Now turning over to the dial side of the watch, we are first met with a dome sapphire crystal with anti-reflective coating, protecting the dial underneath. Now the bezel of this piece I would say is more of a true white. The dial surface itself I would probably classify more as a silver. That is going to kind of change in terms of the lighting conditions. In a really well lit environment, it's going to look closer to that of a true white, but in more dim lighting conditions, I would classify it more as a silver. The finish is kind of more of a glossy sunburst style, not true traditional sunburst, and just I think works incredibly well with the overall Captain Cook design. A couple other points that I think really aid the overall appeal of this dial surface is that it has more of a convex type of nature. It almost mirrors the exact opposite of what is happening with the bezel. You're also going to be getting a sleek line silver minute track that's going to mirror many of these same effects. But with this dial, you're pretty much getting traditional Captain Cook. And if you're a fan of the other models, this is all good news. Another added benefit is you are getting applied markers on this timepiece. Many of the Captain Cooks have printed markers. These are containing superluminova, also within the handset, with that hour hand being very large and following a more broad arrow style handset. At the 3 o'clock, we do have the inclusion of a date window. It's going to have a beveled edge, which will really elevate the framing of the date aperture. Towards the 6th, we have the writing of Captain Cook, while a small Swiss made is found a few millimeters lower, and at the 12 o'clock, the Aboutrado logo. Now, the logo actually has a nice little trick to it with the anchor symbol at the center rotating when handling the watch, and then will rest at different positions. This feature has become basically a signature element for the brand and provides a little extra fun in the details of the watch for many of their automatics. With the combination of silver and white and steel with this handset and the indices, legibility could be a question, but I actually found it quite easy to read, especially with that broad arrow style handset and long second hand and minute hand. I found it very easy to see the time. The superluminova on this piece does certainly help as well. One point of note, though, is that it's actually not featured on the bezel, so those actually looking for a traditional dive watch style, getting ISO certification, this is not going to be present here. Now, flipping this watch over, we have a closed screw-down case back featuring an embossed display of stars and seahorses at the center, protecting the automatic ETA C07611. Now, Aboutrado, being a member of the Swatch Group, has the benefit of receiving some awesome ETA movements for the money. ETA also owned by the Swatch Group, and in the caliber used here, we're getting exactly that. Now, this particular movement is best known for its lengthy power reserve of 80 hours, which is really going to create kind of a set it and forget it type of idea. But how this is going to be achieved, because this is actually based off of a traditional beat rate or 28,800 vibration per hour or 4 Hz movement, and then actually dropping the beat rate down to 21,600 vibrations per hour or 3 Hz to maximize the energy stored within the mainspring. The only difference in terms of appearance is going to just be the beat rate that you can see with the sweep of the second hand. But in terms of accuracy, just to provide some anecdotal evidence, this one's running at just plus 1 second a day. It does feature the same hand winding and hacking functionality, so hand winding at the first position, and then hacking, setting the hands at the farthest out point while stopping the second hand in the process. And in addition to that, you are getting the added benefit of that nice power reserve of 80 hours. All right, so now just to unpack and take a closer look at this timepiece. Now, I think this could go either way. I think this predominantly leans a little bit more feminine, but it's also just a small watch in general for a diver standards, and I think the color choice does make it lean a bit more in that direction. I think this could be pulled off by a man, but I do think it's predominantly a woman's watch at the end of the day. But considering this, I think that really allows it to separate from much of the busy crowd in this price range. If you look at, say, watches that lean a little bit more towards the women watch enthusiast or just a woman in general, I think many of them kind of fit that looking feminine just for feminine's sake, and I think it almost comes off as pandering at times. And when you look at a watch like this, I think this is just a much more tasteful approach and more kind of modern approach to what I think would look great on a woman's wrist. 37 millimeters, I think, is very wearable in a variety of different sizes of wrists. It has presence, but is also not so abundantly large, especially when you factor in that rotating bezel along the outside. You're also getting a reliable automatic movement within with an 80-hour power reserve. And if you're somebody that doesn't like to set your watches all the time and just want to maybe put it on the dresser for a couple days or in your watch box for a couple days and come back to it and not have to set it, that's a great added benefit of this timepiece. You're getting great accuracy. Ceramic bezel is a huge upside. It's also sporty with a nice bracelet. So if you are looking for a great everyday wear, a sporty watch for either that special woman in your life, you are that woman, or maybe a guy with a smaller wrist, I think this is a great option in this price range. And almost because of this, all these factors just mentioned, I think it makes even more compelling choice when looking at the competition in the price range and making, I think, the Captain Cook even more of a consideration for those out there. So guys, thank you again so much for watching. If you did enjoy the video, thumbs up, subscribe, and hit the bell icon. Really would appreciate that. Also, link in the description for more information on this piece on TeddyBaldassarre.com. Full authorized dealer of all the brands that we carry, factory warranty, one of the securest places you can buy a watch online. So guys, thank you again so much for watching. Be well, and I will see you all very soon.